Hey guys, hey, hello, hi. We're working on the music. We're practicing. Uh, how's it going? I'm Jamila Lemieux, and this is Slate's The Kids Are Asleep. I am attempting not to be a raging narcissist and spend the entire episode looking at myself, which I am want to do, and I'm looking straight into the camera. So if I feels like I'm staring straight into your soul right now and it's making you a little uncomfortable, good. That's what I was going for. I hope that you all are surviving this week as best you can. Obviously, it's been a very eventful one already. When I booked tonight's guest, I chose this date as a replacement. She was supposed to be on here a little bit earlier in the season, but was unable to due to a time conflict. But I chose tonight as her rebook date because of the VP debate. I knew that she would be a phenomenal person to talk to about what would take place on that stage. I knew I'd have a lot of competition for her attention tonight, but I was lucky to get her early. But we have some relatively breaking news. Just today, rap singer or whatever the fuck you want to call him, Tory Lanez, was finally charged in connection to the shooting of Megan the Stallion here in LA a little bit earlier this year. So we've got that to talk about as well. So somebody asked me yesterday about raising a little black girl in a moment where Breonna Taylor's image is everywhere. And I had to admit that I have intentionally not spoken to her about Breonna Taylor as much as one might think that I would, considering that I have been having very open, very explicit conversations about racial injustice, about sexism, about the unique positioning of Black women in the world and in the United States in particular, and how we are situated in the society on the basis of our complexion and our class and our proximity to men, etc. We've been talking about things since she was a very little girl. It's not lost on her that Black women and girls have it much harder than they should. And I know that she is aware of this story, but I've not wanted to surround her with it any more than she's already exposed to it, in part because, unlike a lot of other stories of police violence that gain national attention, those being stories related to our men and our boys, this scenario is something that all Americans should be able to envision for themselves. That we all should think of the ways that policing has made us all vulnerable to exactly the sort of fate that Breonna Taylor met that night in Louisville. And I don't want that on her mind. I don't want that on her mind in a time in which she's spending more time than usual in the house. But I do talk to her about these subjects, right? We do talk about these things openly and freely, as does her father and her stepmother. Um, but I want to connect that to, I guess, the motherhood identity that I've kind of glommed onto for some reason for myself. And it's the cool mom, right? It's the easygoing mom. It's the mom who might be a few minutes late for class or doesn't always have it all the way together, but she's doing her best. I mean, one, that's just kind of my brand as a person, as everyone's brand now, because capitalism means we're all for sale. Um, but it's something that I openly admit to and discuss because I want to make space for other moms to be flawed and awkward and scatterbrained, and for other folks who have ADHD and who are parenting, for other people who are freelancers, navigating an economy that never really existed in this way in any of our lives, who are navigating, co-parenting, who are navigating COVID, who are just dealing with all this shit to be like, it's okay to like be a great mom who's also sometimes like a not great mom. And for me, it's not about neglect, of course, or just falling short. It's, I occupy that space in terms of allowing my daughter to perhaps escape some boundaries that maybe I should have for her, or, allowing her, indulging her in certain ways. Like, I'm raising a Black child to be a Black woman who does not believe that her role in this world is to serve, right? It's not labor. And there's a difference between recognizing your need to serve your community and your people and serve your ancestors and serve your family and thinking of yourself as a mule. And that is what so many of us have been trained to do. And I'm not raising a mule. I'm not piling her down with chores at 7 years old to prove a point. I'm not intimidating her into fear or submission. I'm allowing her to be, we're allowing her to be free and to explore herself and the world around her and who she is. And of course, there's boundaries and rules, but you know, this is how I justify going to the American Girl doll store yesterday. We didn't actually buy a doll. It was a random Wednesday. We weren't going to buy a doll, but I let her get some outfits, and I'm like, there's no occasion for this. There's no need for this. But I'm like, but all this stuff is going on, and I just want my kid to be happy and smile and feel good about something, and I want her to be a little black girl who expects good things and who expects to have good experiences and to be treated well and to be showered with love and affection, and who also knows that we live in a society that denies those things to far too many people. And we have to work against that. Anyway, so that's how I'm rationalizing spoiling my kid this week. For those of you all who are also parenting and are trying to figure out how to make yourself feel better about raising a self indulgent little ne'er do well of your own, please leave a comment in the comment section. And, I can read it and we can laugh about how trifling we are together. So, last night was a very big night and it was a historic night for a number of reasons. I've got somebody absolutely wonderful to talk about it. Please welcome to the virtual stage, Alencia Johnson, social and political strategist,
Hello.
friend of mine, cash money. I did not see the shirt. Okay, so I wasn't able to see the shirt before. Excuse me.
It is Harriet Tubman, the 20s we
I
have been
like
denied
that.
of, and this trash presidency. Literally, like, how vile do you have to be to come into office and figure out that the Treasury Department was going to put Harriet Tubman on the 20s and stop that? But
Like,
shout
why
out
do you
to
even
Phenomenal
care?
for the shirt.
Like, it should be.
But exactly,
Yes. Shout out to Phenomenal for the shirt. Is that out? I don't remember that shirt.
it is. It's a shirt,
Is that
it's
an
a
exclusive?
sweatshirt,
It's available now.
and
I want
it
one.
is. It has leggings. You know you like leggings.
I'm a leggings ass girl. Okay.
You
Speaking
are.
of leggings girls, I am wearing a special shirt tonight too. I am wearing my Megan the Stallion, my Megan the Stallion Crunchyroll shirts. Everyone knows Megan is a very big anime fan. My ex-boyfriend
Mm.
Dante would call me a hype beast for having this shirt because he can verify that I am not an anime person. He tried to introduce me. I couldn't get
No,
into it. Um, I tried, but I appreciate it. But like, it's Megan the Stallion, so I had to buy it. So shout out to Megan,
of course.
who I absolutely we're gonna talk about her. Actually, let's just start with Megan. Let's start with
Yeah,
Megan and then get to,
please.
or do you want to start with Megan and then and work our way to the VP debate, or do you want to
Mm.
give VP
I
debate
think
out the
let's do the
way and
VP
be,
debate. Yes,
yeah?
let's do that
I'm
first.
like, because I kind of need a break from that. I'm sure you need a break from it.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a thing to talk about. I'm not complaining. But it is, it's a lot. I want to know, what were you thinking and feeling last night?
I just think about all of the Black women and all of the conversations that we have had about having to sit there with white men in negotiating rooms and explaining not only why we should deserve a promotion or why our idea is the one that the team should go with. But even before all of that, when we're sitting there trying literally to make our case and we continue to not only get interrupted but talked over as if you can't hear us. And so
Hmm.
I think I actually loved last night. I think Senator Kamala Harris did a wonderful, phenomenal job. But when she gave him that side eye that every Black mama has given to, actually every Black woman, whether or not they are a
Every
mother,
black
has given
woman, yes.
has given to any child, any man who isn't acting right, to anyone. It's that, oh, okay, I'm gonna let you finish, but I'm gonna catch you in your
A little,
lie. Like
yeah.
like that look. I said, oh, it's on. And the reality is, we know that women, regardless of any race, have to be conscious. Like, that is how society has raised us. It is not even a strategy. It is literally how society has shaped us, that we have to be conscious about how
It's
we
a
are
survival
perceived.
mechanism. It
It
is a
is.
survival
Yep.
mechanism. It's so much more than like code switching. It's literally a survival
That's right.
mechanism.
It is, because it's so dangerous what can happen to us when we show our emotions, when we speak the truth. And so to have to go through that on one of the largest stages in the world, plus keep your composure while this man is literally lying, and not just like little white lies, but lies that have literally led to, unfortunately, over 200,000 people dying from the coronavirus in this country. Like, how can you literally say on that stage that you are proud of the work that this administration has done on the coronavirus, in the coronavirus task force that Mike Pence is a chair of, which, if we know his record on
Yeah.
any type of public health issue, he is the wrong person to be the chair of that, to the economic recovery. And I'm glad Senator Harris pointed it out that this administration is riding on the coattails of the Obama Biden administration that got us out of the recession. And that clearly Vice President Biden, who was in charge of that recovery task force, is the person that we need to have in office. And so balancing all of that, plus having to tell this man that she is still speaking. She was interrupted 43 times.
That's
43
crazy.
times in an hour and a half.
That's
And so
crazy.
I texted one of my girlfriends, Black woman. I said, I said, have we kept track of how long um, Pence has spoken versus Senator Harris? And she said, no. But all I know is this is evidence that it takes a Black woman half the amount of time to do what it takes a white man to do.
Absolutely. Because he said nothing of substance. And of course, and he's not going to, and he can't, right?
No,
Because he's
no.
up there and he's lying. And
Mm-hmm.
what, you know, this was the first moment in which, like, leading up, like in the hours leading up to the debate, right? And so, like, I I hadn't even thought, like, I thought a lot about watching it, like, in the past few weeks, and then, like, the last week, I just, I moved, I've just been distracted, and then yesterday, like, we were running errands, and I was like, "Oh, we've gotta, like, be home," like, we have to be home and, like, sitting down and, like, ready for this, right? Uh-oh, that's, like,
Mm-hmm.
a terrible place for a minute. Sorry, I'm like, "That's the worst place for me to breathe." This is what happened because I said I wasn't gonna look at my stuff, I'm still doing it, so
This is
I hope my
totally
scoreboard.
welcome to the insight of, like, this is how we hang out. Like,
This is literally us sitting. This is us sitting next to each other. Like, I'm messing with my hair, but like,
it's
do you like the
still
wallpaper?
there. It is. I do like the wallpaper, and I like
It's
the
fun,
couch.
right?
It's great. It's great. I like the
Thank
look.
you, thank you, thank you. I think I'm gonna get an orange. Like, I want to pop a color, so I think I'm gonna do a different
Hmm.
couch and bring the couch into my room. But we'll see
I
because my
like
room is
it.
pink, and I'm like, I don't want it to be too pink and green, but like, I also don't want to get rid of the couch. Anyway, so so
Your whole
like
house is pink
yesterday
and
was the
green.
first. There's a lot of pink and green in this house. Like, it's unintentional though, but it's mostly the green is my favorite color, and also pink is my daughter's favorite color, and like also pink and green are just really beautiful together. The joke here is that I'm a member of the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, as is Senator Kamala Harris, and my dear friend Alencia Johnson here is a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. So we are sibling rivalry.
Sibling rivalry. It's
Sibling
all love.
rivalry, or mother daughter, depending on how you. Anyway, no, I can't.
And you
I
know
was like, I have
what?
to wait for the delay. I have to wait for the delay
You
too.
know
I
what?
can't keep talking.
You
So
so rude for
anyway,
that.
so like, oh, I
I
love
love you
you.
though.
I love you. So yesterday was one of the first days I really allowed myself to like feel any emotions. Like, I'm
Hmm.
gonna be like completely unfiltered here. I did not want Senator Harris to run, and we don't have to go through all of this, but just going to the root of this for me, largely due to the fact that I knew what would come. Like, it is hard for me to watch Black women be maligned in public, to watch them be, gaslit in public, to watch them be abused, and just when a Black woman is beat up in the public eye, it's not just it's not a commentary on her, it's a commentary on all of us, right? And so I didn't want to go through the trauma of like them making her out to be an aggressive
Yeah.
monster, if she's assertive, and to make her out to be, unintelligent if she shrinks back, and just I didn't want to see her go through that, and so I think, remember that Blackish episode where Andre admitted that like he couldn't breathe like the whole time President Obama and Mrs. Obama were taking that walk in his first inaugural parade,
Hmm.
and like it was something we never talked about publicly, but everybody
That's
was like,
right.
"Oh my God, me too." I didn't talk about it with people. I didn't want to be the
Yeah.
one to bring it up, but like that whole time, like whoever you were in the room with, we experienced it together. It was like that holding of your breath,
Hmm.
right? And so I've been holding my breath,
Hmm.
like regardless of the ways where we deliver, like we intersect in a whole lot of ways politically. She is the most liberal member of the Senate, right? But like in a
Yeah.
number of ways we differ politically. But like I've been holding my breath for this woman, like this
Hmm.
whole ride. And like yesterday was the first time that I was allowed, I let myself have just a moment of like pleasure of like, Black women deserve to do this, right? Like, this is not me saying
Well,
that everything is well and
yep.
dandy, but we deserve to have this space. We deserve to be here.
That somebody was in one of the conversations I was having today. I'm so tired. And one of the conversations I was having today, they asked me, did I think she was having fun on, like, there was a bit of joy that she had on the stage, like a smiling. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, yes, because one of the most beautiful things that I saw this week is, yes, we talked about this VP debate. We know how she is an amazing debater. And if you watch her in the
Mm-hmm.
Senate hearings, absolutely.
My God,
But there's
she's
also this, exactly, there's also this moment of presence that is allowing us to have joy in the historic nature of her candidacy, right? And we can
yeah.
have both of those at the same time. And there was some, like, I could only imagine your Naima watching her on TV, or the Biden campaign just put out an ad of a little Black girl watching Senator Harris on TV, and like we have to not only remind ourselves of those moments, but remind the world of those moments, because unfortunately for Black women, for Black folks, or actually anything beyond white men, we know, you and I both do culture work, we know that society has a limited box that you have to fit in. We are not able to just be, one day I want to be raggedy and maybe not wear a wig and not have my hair done, or one day
Mm-hmm.
somebody wants to, be on a reality show and show out. But unfortunately for us as Black women, anytime we are on one of these stages, we are carrying literally the reputation and the weight of our entire community on our back. And we also know
Yep.
that that puts us in a position to be, to what you're saying, is a target, literally a target for these very racist, very sexist attacks. And, people will say, oh, it's only Twitter, it's only social media. I mean, there were reports today that the governor in Michigan, they literally found out that extremists were plotting her kidnapping because they were
Yeah.
mad about the mask mandate, right? And this is a white woman. And so
Yeah.
let's think about what is happening around this Black woman, right? Because a Black woman is the complete opposite of who is supposed to have power in this country, in this world, and those are white men.
Yep. And I think that people have to remember that, like, you don't have to be 100%, aligned with somebody to feel that pain, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think that we should be like, we should not sit. No one who sits further to the left of Kamala Harris should sit idly by or be okay with her enduring sexism or racism because she doesn't share their values, right? Like, this is
That's
not,
right.
she's not a
That's right.
conservative, she's not a moderate, she's not somebody who sold her soul out. I think she has a legacy that's complicated for a lot of people, but I also think that, like, when I look before me, I see somebody who is, in the way that I did in 2016, somebody who is capable, somebody who is competent, somebody who is qualified, and somebody who, will do work that will direct us in the right direction, and
Mm-hmm.
I hope that people are, um, I hope people are recognizing the urgency of getting on board with that, and that,
Yes.
we
Yes.
can have critique of a candidate, We can have a critique of a ticket. We can have critique of a party. We must, right? That's the thing. We also, on
Hmm.
the other side, like, we can celebrate this moment being historic and and
That's
and
right.
and and smile, and I can be, it can be cute and nice to me that she's my sorority sister, and but like, and still have criticism, right? And still, by
Yes,
the way,
that's
I'm
right.
double
That's right.
fisting tonight. I've got
I was
some
about
rosé over
to
here.
say that
Yeah. So I had it in case like I ran out of one.
while I
Actually, I
have my
poured one and then I
water.
wanted the other. While you have your water, I'm very proud of you. You're snatched right now, by the way. You're tiny.
Oh, thank you.
But like, yes, I see it. I see it. But I've been eating. I've been eating, and
Girl,
I've been
I've been
enjoying it.
too, but finally bought the
All I do is eat.
Peloton and I'm finally on it. So
Yes, I didn't get the Peloton, but you know what I bought? I bought the, what's the IG girl thing, the butt thing, the DB machine.
you
You're
are
not
such
enough of a person. I
in
was gonna say, is
another
the
life,
DB
you
machine
are an
not on your
IG
timeline?
thought. You said what?
Oh, I am an IG queen. Yeah, no, I am like, yes, I think that, at 36, I like to say I look like an aging video vixen who's
You
taking very good
do.
care of herself. So I skipped the whole actually being a video vixen part, like, but that's cool because I look fine for now. For my age,
Hmm.
I am hopping,
You are. You are.
hopping.
So like
Thank
if I
you.
need to know what the IG
Thank you.
girls
So
are
are you.
doing out there, I will call you. I really think
It's a
people, and
party.
because of that, I think people get confused by our friendship. Like, literally, we're not just saying this because we're online. Like, we are sisters. But like, I think some people are like,
No, we're
"Wait, she
actually,
does like
actually,
politics stuff, and she's out here doing this."
yes.
But we're actually very aligned.
We're actually aligned. Okay, so I will tell the fun story of how we met real quick. So not how we met, but one of my favorite stories. One of my favorite stories from the earliest moments of our friendship. So we had corresponded via email. Alencia was working for Planned Parenthood at the time, and
Oh
I
yes.
was an editor at Ebony. And so a mutual friend of ours had said, you two should know each other, like, and so we were at NABJ in Orlando, Florida in 2013. My God, this is the
13.
most eventful year ever, ever. But Naima was like, what? This was like my first trip, like leaving the baby
Yeah.
behind. Like my mom must have come to town, like she was a new baby. And
Hmm.
so, because I made out with somebody there, and that was my first little piece of action postpartum. I was like, oh, I still got it.
Really?
Sure did.
You know,
Sure did.
NABJ was never like I never had a found a boo at NABJ.
I,
I
I
know I was
like, so
doing it
after
wrong.
that, I was doing it wrong too, because like I think that was the first year I found one, and I think the next year I brought, like, the next 2 to 3 years I brought my out of
Mhm.
boyfriend and brought him with. I Look, I was like, I'm going to have fun on this vacation trip. So here's my boyfriend. Y'all figure it out. I shan't be alone. So anyway, so at this first NABJ, which is the National Association of Black Journalists conference, annual conference, we're at a party at the House of Blues. So like all the black
Oh,
journalists, all the people you know and follow or hate follow or love follow are all there. So like Jamel Hill and Bomani Jones. This was the night that the ESPN dudes got into the fight. Remember? Like this was page six. Like dude literally threw
yes.
his career. A man threw his career away that night because he decided to hit somebody, another journalist,
Weren't we
at the
on
club
Disney at
with.
ESPN's property? Wasn't the House of Blues on their property or something too? Something was
Yes,
on the
I think
Disney
so.
ESPN
Whatever
property.
it was wild, super wild,
It's so
super
crazy.
wild. So crazy. Roland Martin's on stage, Alpha strolling. Bless you. I love you, Uncle
What his
Roland.
ass got.
Like, so it's like a with his ass got turning up. And so me and Alencia are dancing, and our friend had friend of the show, Kiara Fasante Houghton, had gone, she
Hmm.
had tapped out, so because she had a man, so the party girls was like, we still out. We didn't even know each other that well yet, but that's how you know you're the party girls, when you're like, well, it's just you and me. All right, well, let's go.
Let's
Like,
say.
I'm not, I ain't going to bed. Like,
Not I ain't going to bed. You
so
going to bed? Nah.
I ain't going to bed.
We
No,
not
no, no,
going to
I ain't
that.
going to bed.
You going to the morning session?
So
Nope. Not at all.
nope, nope. So Get Me Body comes on and we're having fun on
Oh
my
my
lace up floor,
God.
and I straight up, I'm about to fall. Like I'm going down. But like I half catch myself and Alencia catches the other half of me. And she like grabs my hand and she helps me like because I caught my way. Like you wouldn't have been able to like you didn't like like you grabbed my hand like I
Uh-huh.
was
I
halfway.
remember.
You
Yeah.
were what you were what kept it from me be like I wouldn't have fallen, but I would have rolled my ankle. You know what I mean? Had you
Yeah.
not like grabbed me, like you got me. And like immediately she was like, tall girls fall. I was like, oh my God.
We
I
do.
thought back on I thought back on my life. I was like, shit. And I thought back on the people I know who fall. And I was like, tall girls fall. It's like kids and tall girls. Nobody else just routinely falls down. Like if you
We
routinely
fall.
fall down, you're a tall girl or a kid. And if you're not, please tell me because like you are an
Well,
anomaly because we
listen,
fall.
by then I was a pro because I remember, so like, one of my line sisters, Michaela, so she's the tail, but she's right behind me. So we're
Hmm.
tall. And so we would be at so our club early 20 days were in DC. And of course, we knew like all the bouncers, all the party promoters, we knew all of
Hmm.
them. But like, it was every single night we were out, somebody either fell down the steps, somebody
Yep.
fell at the table, like, and you just fall. I mean, you learn how to, like, you got to get up cute, get up cute and keep it
Right.
moving.
You gotta have a little the
Don't make a
difference in my life.
scene.
Like, don't make a scene. You gotta be like still pretty though. Like even if you
Like,
don't
oh,
like even if you
it was
hit
a
the
dance
ground,
move.
you gotta get up cute. You gotta do a little.
You
It's funny.
do.
There's a hilarious YouTube video of Mr. T like showing a kid like it's called. There's a whole video about this where a kid falls down and he like gets up and does a breakdancing move. It's the weirdest shit, but it's true. Like it's showing you like you gotta shrug it off. Okay,
Tall girls
so
fall.
speaking of, speaking of dancing, speaking of turning up, and speaking of tall girls, our girl, your girl, my girl, our
I love
queen,
her.
my current first lady of the United States, Megan the Stallion. First of all, I just before we even get to I don't want to get to the bad stuff yet. I would like to hear you for a moment talk about why you love her. I because you show me how long to talk because I could talk all night about how much I love her. So please
Listen,
give me a
I
reasonable.
I think people are confused by me because okay, for your viewers, I am the daughter of a pastor. I love me some Jesus.
Hmm.
I love Jesus, and I also love Megan the Stallion because, and the reason I love Megan the Stallion is she is so in ownership of herself and her body
Hmm.
and what she wants people to know about her, and she is literally living her life to the fullest. And I have my heart actually aches for her because she is growing in public, she's learning in public, and she's had a lot of tragedy in her life. And like, I can only imagine what she is going through, experiencing so much success. And some of the people, she lost some of the people, her like her mother, who was the closest
Yeah,
person to her, and
both of her parents.
she's
She's lost
both her
both of her
parents, like you're
parents.
right, and she's dealing with that by herself. But she's also like very smart, very educated, and
Hmm.
she says, I am in control of my destiny. And that is literally what feminism is to me. And so it's frustrating because I hear people who are like really respectable, and they want to say that, oh, you shouldn't be showing your booty like this, you shouldn't be singing about this. It's no problem when the rappers do it. It's no
Nope.
problem when they choose to talk about women in certain ways. Listen, for me,
Hmm.
when women decide to, well, let me take that back. For me, as long as it is consensual, as long as it is safe,
Hmm.
and as long as it is on the woman's terms, I support it 100%. Whether or not I agree with it or that's the way I would live my life or express myself, that doesn't matter. But I just love how she expresses herself, and she talks about some like critical issues. Like, she talks about the environment, she talks about HBCUs.
Yeah.
She is a brilliant young woman who is also, I think, to be honest, she knows exactly what she's doing when it comes to the music and when it comes to selling her art, right? To making
Hmm.
sure that the culture embraces her. And so she's also just fun. Like I want to hang out with Meg the Stallion, right? Like I want like I
I just
literally I follow her, and I don't follow a lot of I guess you would say
celebrities.
yeah, I don't follow a lot of celebrities. I also like
I don't want to.
I
Yeah,
don't
I don't
follow
follow
the
celebrities.
shade room. Like I go down rabbit hole when I follow too much like popular culture stuff. But I follow Meg and
Yeah,
she's having the time of her life and she should be. And she's standing up for herself and she is pushing boundaries and she loves black women. And so as black women, we have to love her. And I want to protect her at all costs. And even before what happened this summer, it was always like protect Meg at all times because as her star ascended, you saw the things that people started saying about
yeah,
her, and I was like, oh, y'all are trying to put her in a box, y'all are trying to bring her down. No, we're gonna protect her, and
absolutely, absolutely. And you know
I'm
what?
with it.
Like
I'm a hottie. Is
this
that her
could
fan?
just
Her fan? Yeah,
maybe.
I'm a hottie.
Yes, we're hotties. We're
Yeah.
hotties. Like, or are we hot girl? No, we're hot. Are we hot girls or hotties? I forgot which one.
Well, I
Maybe
guess we're
we're. Well,
hottie
I'm a
because
hot girl and a
hot girl,
hottie. I
hot
think
girls.
hotties are the
Okay,
fans, but I'm a hot girl. I'm a hot girl.
you, yeah,
I'm a hot
I'm a
girl. Don't
hottie.
try that home. I be wearing scissors, showing my thong. I like to drink her like to have sex. Just cutting the dick. Listen, I'm a Megan Thee Stallion fan. Like, I first of all, I know the drinks are working because I'm getting a little, and it's the
Oh,
where the
they are. I
moon
can
is for
tell.
me right now. I'm a little, I'm emotional this week. Okay, in general, but like. I love this girl so much. Like, I love her. And Megan is, you're a couple years younger than me. Megan is 9 years younger than me, right? So, like, certainly not young enough to be my child. She'd be a baby sister, little cousin, right? Excuse
Hmm.
me. Admittedly, I've dated men Megan's age, and I have relationships with women Megan's age, and they're like little sisters to me. So that probably makes it weird that I've dated men her age. Whatever. That's not the point. But no, I haven't dated. Wait, no, she's 25. No, no, no. I haven't gone there. No, no, no. I've dated 25-year-olds, but that was a couple of years ago. I've not dated anybody Megan's age. No. Um, but me and Megan are
Yes.
dating men. It's fine. It's fine. Right. Yeah. Hey, hey. I think 27 might be, I think 28, 27, 28. I don't know. I'm trying to settle down. I'm trying to get married, girl. I'm trying to be, I'm like
You
ready to
like
go ahead.
dating. Wait, let's pause real quick. You like men that are younger, and I like men that are older, and it's the funniest thing.
You
It's
do.
literally
The
the funniest
funniest thing,
thing.
we can't double date. Oh my God. Like at one point, I was dating a dude who was like 9 years younger than me. She was dating a dude who was like 9 years older than her. We could not take them out. It would be so weird. It would look like family reunion. It would be like,
It
who
was
the parents?
so funny.
Y'all the kids? Like, no, 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 no.
One day, maybe.
Could not happen. One day we're gonna level up. Like I'm ready to like either like let a nice older man just kind of like slide on in, or a
I don't
man
think
about
you
my
are.
age, or a 27-year-old. I don't know, something about that
That's true.
1993. Anyway, so I am who I am. Anyway, so like I love her so much because like everything you said, yes, but like for me, she checks off every box. Like from just the body, like the height, like being a black woman of size. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because like you've never been plus size, but you've always been tall, right? Like we're both 5'9", and like so you've always been a woman of size, right? Like even if you were skinny, like when you're black and you're tall, you know what I mean? And like so like that, like just seeing that in public, like she's not a small girl, right? I mean, her body is
Hmm.
ridiculously enviable. Like people are like
Ridiculous.
she has the great like her shape is crazy, right? But like she's still a woman of size, right? Like in terms of like
Hmm.
how we like so yes, so we've always like we've typically treated that body type well, but like being a tall girl is like some other shit. And like so when you reject the shorter man, like the way he speaks to you. You know what I mean? Like when you make a
Hmm.
man feel uncomfortable, when you're smarter than the man, when you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like
Hmm.
when you have a conflict with another woman, just like when you're dealing with white folks, like just all the stuff that comes with being like a sizable black woman, right? Because they're
That's
the
right.
ways that we're like super, like we're so invisible in so many ways. Like people, the other things, like you can be that tall and like people walk through you. You're like, I know you see my
Listen.
big ass. So like there's no lack of like if anybody didn't think the invisible man, invisible woman shit wasn't real, I'm like if people are walking through me, like it's real. So it's
Listen.
like so there's that. But like for me as a hip hop fan, Megan can rap
Hmm.
her ass off. And for somebody who likes
So
raunchy rap
good.
music, and for like so good. And the thing is, it's part of the reason that she's going through what she's going through, right? Part of the reason that, like, it's not just the fact that this man who was, we don't know the terms of their relationship, and I won't
Hmm.
feel like I know them until she says what they were. Like whether he was her, her friend, her close friend, her casual friend, whatever, there was between them, they knew each other,
Hmm.
right? This was somebody she trusted. This was somebody she was hanging out with,
That's right.
and he does this thing to her. That's bad enough, but that you have like so many people in your community, so many men that are making jokes about it, that are saying that because he's small, that because you're large, like all that are justifying it, that are saying you shouldn't have complied, like she didn't initially deal with the police, and people were saying, well, she's the one who didn't want to deal with the police. Then she dealt with the police, apparently. And then it's like, oh, so you're going to deal with the police? I thought we were all abolitionists now. It's like, part of the reason that she's dealing with all this hatred is because she's a black woman. It's because she's a brown skinned
That's
black
right.
woman. It's because she's a big black. It's because she's a black woman of size. It's because she's a highly talented. It's because she's smart. And it's also like the way that what I love so much about Megan is like a lot of rappers rap about, most rappers rap about sex. Most women rappers rap about sex. And yes,
Hmm.
most of them rap from the perspective of like, I'm so bad, you gotta please me, blah, blah, blah.
That's right.
But like with
That's right.
her, there's still the way, first of all, just the level, the off, it feels authentic in ways it doesn't feel with other
Yep.
women. And just, but
Yep.
like in general, it's just like, I'm not like fucking for a bag. I'm the prize. I am a, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And this is about my pleasure. You know what I mean? This is about, I'm
That's
doing
right.
things that I
It's about
enjoy for the
pleasure.
sake of pleasure. So it's not like, and that's so much more like, that's just so much more, I think, valuable than even like, oh,
Hmm.
because I'm sleeping with him, he gives me that, right? It's like, it's not that she doesn't talk about getting, showered and,
It's the ownership, though.
like, it's the ownership. It's like, you're here because I
Hmm.
enjoy sex. And that's the thing, because like
Hmm.
a lot of the other sex, a lot of the other rap that talks about like, men give me things, you don't talk about like the pleasure of being pleased. And so
That's
it's
right.
like,
That's right.
people know she makes black women feel good. She's not biracial. She's not, a
Hmm.
part of anybody's crew. She's her own entity in so many ways. And that is
Hmm.
why this is
Yep.
happening. And that's why it hurts so bad.
Yeah. Well, and then the part you said about like how she talks about it for pleasure, I think there's also frustration with her because she is making Black people confront the stigma and shame around sexuality, around a healthy sexuality. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think that's part of the reason some people are frustrated. And then you mentioned a good point of like all of these men justifying what happened to her. It wasn't just men, there were some women too, which is also
Definitely some women.
extremely unfortunate. There were some women who are kind of famous, they not A-list, but like
Yep.
kind of famous, right? And so it
Yep.
is frustrating and challenging to see that, Black women in general, no matter what, even Beyonce faces some sort of discrimination, absolutely. But even like with Megan,
Yeah.
to your point, Megan looks like my girls. Like she looks like someone I would share clothes with, right? Like she
Right.
it looks like she is our, to your point, like a little sister. She looks like, she reminds me of those young women we were talking to when we had that event at Morehouse years ago when you were
Yep.
were you at, yeah, you were Ebony and I was at Planned Parenthood
Hmm.
and just bright young women
Yes,
who were extremely smart and
Alencia.
also own their own sexuality and like culture and everything.
Remember that little boy? So we did Alencia. I hope we're frozen on the backstage. So I see myself on. I hope that, are we frozen for you too, Alencia?
No, I see you.
Do you
You're
see us
good.
frozen? Okay, good.
Um,
Okay, so like for me, we're frozen. Scram Naima, we're almost done. So like Alencia and
oh,
I did a panel. I know. I'll let her come say hi at the very, very end.
thank you.
Um, Lindsay and I did a panel at Morehouse in 2016, and
Mhm.
it was us and Mark Lamont Hill and Michael Denzel Smith and a professor there named Jamila Lynn, and we were talking about all things related to consent, and it was really dope.
Mhm.
And like Lindsay and I put it together, and so we it was less we were certainly paneling and talking about things amongst ourselves. And then, everybody was like in their late 20s to, early mid 30s. So it was kind of like, we're not your peers, we're not your little friends, but we are also like, hey, hopefully
That's your parents.
you can recognize that we're right, we're not your parents. And so
We're still
anyway,
cool.
so we're still cool. Hey, we listen to the rapidy rap and hippity hop. And so like we might have went to the club after that panel. Cannot confirm. On like a Tuesday, Wednesday or Thursday night. We may have definitely went to the club that night. But like there was a young man, and I quote this all the time, Alencia. I know I've quoted with you, who said, "I'm listening to you all talk." And again, like we were listening. We did a lot of listening, but we were just talking
Yeah.
about like all things related to consent, and just like because we're most of us, like certainly these kids more than Lindsay and I are millennials, and a couple of folks on the panel were Gen X folks, but like in general, we have not been taught like the nuances of consent,
Yeah.
right? Like we're
That's
taught
right.
yes means
That's
yes,
right.
no means no, and there's an asterisk placed by that, but like there's an asterisk placed by
Hmm.
the, no means no. There's not one placed by yes means like we don't talk about when yes means no. Like we were not trained in, obtaining affirmative consent. And so anyway, so we're all these kids are also sharing, their experiences. So we're being gentle and like, hey, we get that you have not been taught these things. We just want you to understand them and make better choices. And also we kind of wanted to hear like, what are you all not being told? Right. And so
Hmm.
this one
Hmm.
kid's like, he must have been a junior or senior. And he's like, I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you all talk, and I'm thinking back on my sexual history, and I'm just I'm realizing that I have always been taught to recognize or to think of sex for women as good sex for women as being painful. And he cited a couple of
Hmm.
rap lyrics. You remember that, right? Like beat the pussy up,
Hmm.
and like literally he was able to rattle off like this and this, and
Hmm.
just kind of like that rough sex was taught to him to be the default as opposed to like one of the many things.
Hmm.
Like there's a of sex, right? Like every type of everything you can
Hmm.
imagine, right? Like in the book of sex is
Hmm.
there, but you don't default to making a woman hurt, and that's what he feels
That's
like he's
right.
been trained to do. And so part of the reason that Megan is so threatening is that like she literally she says like in the food chain, I'm the one that eats you. Like
Hmm.
she's talking about
Hmm.
this is for me. You are an option. You are, like
Yeah. 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 And I, that conversation is so important because God, there were so many gems at that event. It was such a powerful event. And I think you and I have talked about this too because of the gray area of consent, just broadly culture, black, white, just broadly culture. But then, especially within our own
absolutely.
communities, it took me understanding the language to know that what happened to me in college was actually a sexual assault because, again,
Yeah.
didn't know the language, didn't know that, oh, I actually don't have any responsibility in what happened to me just because I let him over and I had on short shorts that day, right? And so I think what she is doing is, in a way, consciously pushing back on what not only men were taught, but so if a young boy was taught that it's supposed to be painful for women, a young girl is taught that it's supposed to be painful and not
Yep.
enjoyable and not pleasurable and not consenting. And
Yeah.
so there is, I think what she is forcing people to do is confront this conversation about sexuality, about consent, um, and about also slut shaming. And she is forcing this conversation that I don't think a lot of folks in our own community have wanted to have just yet, right? And
Yep.
the sooner we have this conversation, the healthier our community will be, the more, I know, I mean, I worked at Planned Parenthood, so I know all of the statistics from unplanned teenage pregnancies to STIs and
Yep.
STDs that go undetected and untreated, so then they lead to life-threatening illnesses. I know
Or
all these statistics,
infertility.
or
Or
infertility,
infertility. Like
which is
there are
a
a lot
very
of
real
like
conversation we should have about that.
I know black women that are walking around who
That's right.
cannot have children who because of untreated STIs, in their
Uh,
youth because they
yep.
literally thought sex was supposed to hurt.
And the craziest thing about most STIs, the treatment is not actually that complicated, that hard, right? But the fact
No.
that we don't have safe spaces to have these conversations, and I would rather, and I'm so grateful for my time at Planned Parenthood, and I'm so grateful for these conversations that are happening publicly. That like I would rather my kids learn at a very early age when they are supposed to, because kids are starting to feel things. They should be learning
Yeah.
from actual sex educators about their bodies, and they would make more informed decisions than exploring with their friends who were
Absolutely.
learning from these rap videos or whatever they're seeing on television. And so I don't have a problem with Megan Thee Stallion, because what she's talking about is a 20-something-year-old woman who has ownership of her body and fully understands what all of this means and very informed, and is pushing a
Yep.
conversation for other folks to ensure that the next generation, young people, are conditioned in a way that is full of consent and safety. And that's what consent, safety, and on your own terms. And it is not, I don't think her music is telling anyone that, like, oh, you need to go have sex, you need to go out here and have sex with everybody. It's not telling you that. If that is your choice, it's telling you like it should be pleasurable and it should be this way, right? And I think that is the other piece that
Yep.
she's forcing us to have this conversation with. You can talking about sexuality, talking about sex education and healthy relationships and consent is not literally telling young people to go have sex. It's literally just
Yep.
teaching people to be informed about their bodies so that we all can be healthy. Literally, we all can be healthy.
We can literally all be healthy. And look, like young people are being like, if sexually explicit content encourages sex, there's so much of it out there already. Like, if you take away Megan, if you take away Cardi, if you take away women that talk about sex from a position of pleasure, you still have a ton of sexually explicit content
Listen,
out there. So, what I want you to know
that
about
is
sex,
irresponsible.
it's right. That is irresponsible,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I want you to
Mm-hmm.
know that it will be readily available to you, and there's a lot of different ways to do it. And so I want you to understand how it works. I want you to know, I want you to be able to do a cost benefit analysis, right? Like, is this right for me? Is this not? And I want you to know that it should always, always feel good for you. It should always be on your terms. And if it's not, something's wrong, So like it's the idea of leading your we're wrapping up. What's wrong? Can
She
you
wants
not get
to
out
say
of
hi
your
to me.
jumper? Girl, no, she's trying to get out of her clothes. Can you not get the
No, don't, because you have to come
so
say hi
why
to
are
me.
you
Don't get out your clothes, the little one.
yeah, come say hi. We finna wrap up. Okay, well, put it back on because the show's wrapping up. So, Lindsay, but we're about to wrap up, and so like
My,
we don't even
she's
have to
my
talk
favorite
about Lori.
person.
I know we don't even have to talk about Tory Lanez. Fuck you, Tory Lanez. You're the absolute worst. Like every black man should feel duty bound to protect black women, to love and respect black women, no matter who you share your life with as a partner, no matter who your mother is, no matter
That's
what you
right.
think politically. You should feel duty bound to love, protect, and respect black women. And when you
Yep,
harm black
yep.
women, when you harm one of us, you harm us all. So Tory Lanez,
And then, yep.
I wouldn't spit on you if you were on fire. And
Ooh,
as somebody who does believe that abolition is the eventual way, until
I
we
do
have
too.
worked out something, until we have come up with like, yes,
That's
policing
right.
doesn't work, the prisons don't
That's
work,
right.
but we haven't replaced that yet, and the community has not decided to hold you accountable. So the only option we have at this point is for him to be behind bars. Go ahead and be there. And I hope he
Yep.
loses his ability to travel to the United States too. You're done. So, Alencia, before we get out of
Ooh.
here, we're a little bit over time. There's a game that we play every week. It's
Uh-oh.
I change the name of it every week. And so this week, what are we gonna call it, Naima? The kids are not asleep. But again, I live on
I
the
was gonna
West
say
Coast,
she's
so they're
supposed to
not
be
usually asleep this
asleep.
time of night. She's supposed no, it's only 7:53, girl. What's
But
the name of the
she's
game?
never
Five, four,
asleep.
three, two, one. I know. The name of the game. Thank you. She's gonna say, I like your shirt. Thanks. What's the name of the game? Who said it? Okay, well, the name of the game is Who Said
Who
It, but
said it?
what the game actually is, and it's the same game every week, even though the name always changes. So Naima has a habit of asking me complicated questions at
Oh
times in
God.
which we can't really talk about it. In fact, you asked me something like that earlier today. Do you remember? Can't remember either, but I was rushing to do something, and she was like, "Okay, wait, but can you explain?" And yes, it was. What was it we were talking? Oh my God, I was putting on my You were like, "But wait, why is it that?" It was so good. I should have written it down. But the famous example, I should say my favorite example that I always think back to is that we were watching Alvin Ailey, and a couple minutes after the show started, she was like, "Can I ask you something real quick?" I was like, "Okay, what?" And she's like, "Why is it that Michael Jackson, when he was a kid, he was black, but when he was an adult, he was white?" And I was like, "Okay, like I can't explain this right now." So she hit me with one of those earlier today, and it's gonna come with me later. But I've been drinking 2 drinks. So I can't think of it right now. So I'm going to put Alencia. I know you don't have children yet. I'm going to put you 60 seconds on. Actually, I'm gonna be nice. I'm going to put
Oh
90
God.
seconds on the clock for you
Oh God. But I'm
and give you.
auntie,
Maybe it would be
so
nicer. Probably nicer. It'd be nicer to give you six. No, I'll give you 90 seconds. I'm going to put 90 seconds on the clock, and I'm going to ask you as many quick questions as possible. Okay. Oh, Naima, do you want to ask the questions? Okay. Okay, this is. Can you hear her?
I can hear
Because I have
her.
on headphones. Can you hear her? Okay,
Oh,
so
but vaguely.
okay,
Give her
so
AirPod.
yes, I'm giving her an earpod. Don't clean. You don't have time to clean. I'll just put it in your ears. Put it in your ear. You're so tough. Okay,
Yo,
you're
Naima.
on stage. You're on stage. I know. Bless her heart. Okay, so
Oh
ask
my
Auntie
God.
Olympia. So pretend we're running out the door. We have somewhere to go, and you just
No
have a quick
time.
question, right? Ask her as many quick questions as you can. Okay. All right, and go. How are babies born? Okay,
Um,
go ahead.
out of the
If she
mommy's
says she has the good one,
belly.
what's the
What's
good
her?
one? Come
What's
on.
her? Oh, you grow kind of like you
She,
water a flower. Wait, what'd she say?
she says, I don't like Linda as a baby name. Okay, what's the question? Okay, how do you become an adult so quickly?
It's like a flower, and like when you pour water, it grows. Like humans, when we eat, we grow. We become adults. Okay.
How does food make you grow?
The nutrients and the nutrition, and the food, it helps you grow.
What's nutrients, Auntie?
It's good vitamins for you. Like your daily vitamins, they're like really good vitamins.
How do they make nutrients?
The sun and God.
Ooh,
Oh, wait a
you were
minute.
saved
Well,
by the bell. How do
because
they
I
make
don't know
the
how to
sun and
answer.
God? No, I'm gonna save you right now. I'm gonna save you right now because we'll be on here for a while. But that was, yes,
Um,
those are the questions. How do they
that was
make the
worth
sun
it.
and God? This is what 7-year-olds ask when you are trying to run to the bathroom because you know your period just started. I'm telling the truth.
Oh,
Okay, so Alencia, I love you so
you're
much.
so honest, and I love you. I love you.
I love you. I love you.
Naima. I
Thank you
know.
so
I
much
feel
for
like.
joining us. This
Oh,
was
I
so
was gonna say like
fun. We have to do it
I gotta get to
again.
LA. I miss you.
Yes, I miss you. Please, please, coronavirus ends so you can come to LA and hang out with us. I love you, Alencia. She did, yes.
I did.
Okay,
We had a
thank you
little
so
pool
much.
spa party.
We had fun. We had good fun. Okay, so thank you so much, Alencia Johnson. Thank you. Please follow Alencia on Twitter at Alencia Johnson and on Instagram. Check her out at alenciajohnson.com. Brilliant social and political strategist, currently supporting the Biden campaign. Thank you, audience, for sticking with us. I know we went a little over time this week, and I will see you again next week. And I know last week I said the kids would be asleep, but I promise, like, okay, we moved far away from her dad, and I didn't feel like driving her home. I mean, to his house tonight. Oh my God, I'm such a like cool mom now. I'm referring to dad's house as home. Okay, I need to talk to my therapist. Y'all have a good night.
Good night.
I'm gonna
Bye.
get one.